Welcome to Lighting for Profits.
All light, all light, all light.
Powered by Emery Allen.
Get rid of your excuses.
Your #1 source for all things landscape lighting.
That's where the magic can happen. You can really scale a business.
We really had to show up for each other.
From lighting design, install, sales, and marketing.
You're a scaredy cat salesman, Kurt.
We discuss everything you need to know to start and grow a successful landscape lighting business.
What do you think a hippo has to do with your business, Ryan?
Usually it's some weird childhood thing. Some bully kicked your butt.
I think the key factor here is trust.
Here is your host, Ryan Lee.
All light, all light, all light. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the #1 landscape lighting show in Fort Collins, Colorado. That's right. We got our guest coming on in just a few minutes from Fort Collins, Colorado. We got Devin Rodarmel coming on with Oelo Lighting Solutions. And actually, as I just said his last name, I've known Devin for a little while, and I don't even know how to say his last name. So these are the things you don't think of until you hit the live button. But guys, we got an awesome show lined up for you. My name's Ryan Lee. I'm your host of Lighting for Profits, powered by Emery Allen. And it's going to be an awesome show. We're doing something new. We've got a new topic. We've got a new show format. It's going to be a great show. We're mixing up the show a little bit, trying to do this format where instead of me doing my monologue first, we're going to have the guests come on here literally in just a couple of minutes. And then at the end, I'll kind of do a show recap and share some things that are on my mind. And so Devin is the general manager for Oelo Lighting Solutions, and he's coming on in just a couple of minutes, which is really cool because there's a lot of buzz right now going around with what is permanent lighting. Is it just a little, thing that's going to like pass and be a little trend or whatever? And I remember thinking that about bistro lighting, like the first person that asked me about bistro lighting years ago, I was like, oh, that's cute. It's going to last for a few months. And then here we are a long time later and it's still gaining popularity, right? That's how I feel about permanent lighting. It is, it's been around for a while, but to a lot of people, it's still brand new. So we're going to learn all about the permanent lighting, the permanent lighting on the house that changes colors for holidays and all that stuff. And it's going to be something that even if you don't do, you're going to want to know about this if you're looking to grow your lighting business. So love doing this show. We're here to educate and motivate to help you dominate. Please give me a 5-star review. If you've gotten any value out of this, go to Apple, go to Spotify, give me that 5 stars, and feel free to write something nice. It feels good. And maybe if you do that, someone will give you a 5-star review, right? So again, if you've gotten value, if you've gotten no value, then don't give me a 1-star review. Just, shoot me a message and tell me that you got no value. And maybe I'll try to sell you into my coaching program. Hey, by the way, you can get your free strategy session. My schedule is booked and we've got a client success coordinator, Jeffrey, who does an amazing job. You can actually book a strategy session with him. Just go to landscapelightingsecrets.com and get that scheduled. And we'll walk through your business, see where you're at, see where you want to be, and build a plan to get you where you should already probably be, right? So make sure to go to landscapelightingsecrets.com, get your free strategy session scheduled. Hey guys, performance matters. This is a true statement for a lot of things, including the kind of lighting you use, right? Don't sell yourself short with your customer by using budget level products. Emery Allen is at the top of their game when it comes to performance. Take their VA rating. For example, it's the lowest in the industry. And what does that mean? Well, efficiency. This means you can put way more lights on a transformer than most other manufacturers, right? And so it helps you make more money. You have to use less wire, less transformers, all this different stuff, right? So make the switch today to Emery Allen. It's a great time to do it, and you will not be disappointed. Absolutely. Everywhere I go now, people are using Emery Allen. So all you got to do to get hooked up is email Tom Garber, his email right now, tomg@emeryallen.com, and he will get your account set up. He'll get you that discounted contractor pricing. Don't waste your time going to the website because you're just going to pay more than you need to. Just mention you heard about him here on Lighting for Profits. Mention my name, mention Ryan Lee, and you're going to get the hookup. tomg@emeryallen.com. Just do it now. Otherwise, you're going to forget. And then you're going to be like, crap, I meant to email him like 4 years ago. All right, guys. I'm really grateful for Tom Garber, for Emery Allen. They've been a huge supporter of ours and supporter of the industry. They're not just selfish manufacturer trying to grow their own business. Even at our events, Tom's trying to get other manufacturers to donate swag, donate product, and get their support. And to me, that tells a lot about who he is, who his family is, who his company is. So, I'm a big relationship guy. I love what they're doing, and I'm a huge supporter. So, just quick shout out to Emery Allen. All right, guys. So again, we're changing the format. It's time to get our guest on. Let me know in the comments if you're here, if you're ready to talk permanent lighting. I think I am. Let's go. All right. Welcome to the show, Devin.
How we doing? How we doing?
Hey, how do you say your last name?
Dude, you knocked it out of the park, and most of the time nobody gets it right. But yeah, it's Rodarmel, and you hit it right.
That's crazy. That was just luck. I was like, I've never said his name out loud.
Yeah, no, and I even thought of that beforehand, and then we never touched on it, and then yeah, you got it right. So you're one of the few.
That's awesome. Yeah, stuff like that happens all the time. I'm like, wait a minute, I forgot to ask this person something, but we're live. Like, can we do sign language? Like, how do I ask them a question? And there's like a chat thing in there, but I don't know how you get like a pronunciation guide over chat unless you're
Yeah,
really
that'd be rough. Yeah, that'd be rough.
Well, thanks for coming on, man. Here, I feel like it's been a long time coming. I met you. It feels like a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Briefly in Texas, and then I ran into you more recently at a show. And this permanent lighting thing is really. I mean, you guys are probably seeing it really starting to take off, and it's catching on like wildfire. So I'm really excited for this episode. I think it's going to draw a lot of attention, and looking forward to kind of picking your brain and getting educated on the permanent lighting
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah, no, absolutely. It's definitely still a young, developing part of the lighting segment and the lighting game. And yeah, it's changing fast, and if you don't pay attention, it'll pass you by.
Yeah, for real. Well, before we jump into the actual, we're going to talk about what is permanent lighting and why it's important to know about and who's it for and all that. But before we do, maybe just introduce yourself a little bit. Tell us about you and what you were doing before Oelo and why you're at Oelo and why
Yeah.
we're on the show.
Yeah, no. So I am Fort Collins, Colorado. Colorado born and raised. Been here my whole life. And before I was kind of in the lighting game, I was kind of doing two things. One, I was in college at school here in CSU in Fort Collins. Uh, while I was doing that, I was working in the design and construction department at the local hospital here. So I was managing construction projects, helping manage them, kind of watching that from projects from 10, 20,000 bike structures up to 250, 300 million, emergency department redos. So I kind of got to see the whole turn of big construction projects. And while I was also doing that, I was also in school, and I was also always working landscaping, whether that be full-fledged, landscaping projects, hardscapes, full installs, lighting, irrigation, everything, mowing lawns, kind of everything like that. So really got accustomed to kind of the commercial landscaping feel and go for it. When I graduated college, kind of out job hunting. Here, a local company, our parent company, Oelo, is Super Vacuum Manufacturing. For those who don't know that name, they build fire trucks, fire rescue equipment, everything kind of like that. We're the little spin-off stepchild. We do the permanent holiday lighting. So how we kind of came about, they took the lights from inside the fire truck cabinets, put them on at the outside of houses. And that was kind of the stopping point of any similarities of lighting between the two, because then from there it was just changing every single day, it felt like. So I was hired about 9 years ago. From then, we've changed lights a bunch. The first few years was me going around physically putting the lights up, watching them fail and fixing them from there, because our kind of whole focus and everything has been no failures, none of that. So from kind of the startup that I was hired into, we've kind of grown it, and I've essentially grown up in the permanent lighting industry as a professional and everything.
That's pretty cool, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
I didn't know that full background, and then I remember seeing something about ambulance. I'm like, "Wait, what? An ambulance company?"
yeah,
And then you've gone through, like, I see that happening in all aspects of lighting. You take interior lighting or anything else, and then you put it in outdoors where it's a completely different environment. It's a different beast
yeah,
for sure.
yeah, absolutely. Yeah, the second you put anything outside, it's gonna fight you every step of the way. The temperature swings, the everything about it, ice, snow, sleet, hail, everything fights you once you get outside.
So it's interesting. I didn't realize it was 9 years either. I think some people are gonna learn, like, this is probably the first time they've ever heard about permanent lighting.
Yeah.
Others probably in the past year, maybe 2, 3 years. 9 years, that's pretty awesome, man.
Yeah, no, and it's definitely, yeah, some people will have never heard of it, and those people are probably on the coast. For some reason, this permanent holiday lighting kind of surge is real heavy in Utah where you're at, real
We're in the
heavy in
Mecca.
Colorado. Real, yeah, I would say Salt Lake and Utah is the Mecca. And then, Denver is real heavy, Texas is real heavy, and then the coasts, at least, in my opinion, are a little bit slower to adopt. They're a little bit slower to come around. But they're definitely coming. I'm already seeing it right now that, they're coming on strong, and I think it's gonna be a really good year coming up.
Cool. So, I guess before we kind of get into it more, I want to talk about how we met because that
Yeah.
was like random circumstance. And I'll need you to refresh my memory because it was a while ago. I don't remember even what year it was,
Yeah.
but we basically got a call, and this guy owned a car wash, and he's like, can you come fix my lights? And they're on the building, and I didn't even really know what he was talking about. And we get out there, and I was like, what is this? Like, I had
Yeah.
never seen this Oelo, we found the controller or whatever, and we called you, and then what happened from there?
Yeah, yeah, no, I mean, it's really a classic story of an installer backfiring on the supplier. It really backfired on us because it was a car wash, I think, a car wash, oil
Yeah.
change place, and essentially we had a guy that sold the project, called us up, wanted to buy the material, and yeah, I think it was 5, 6 years ago maybe. And so we supplied him the material. He kind of, checked all the boxes of the virtual checklist that a supplier, would check out. And from that point on, he pretty much did the entire project wrong from what he could do. We had really good installation, documentation and everything, and he did everything backwards, outside,
Upside
unwaterproofed,
down.
everything. Yeah, yeah, and so somehow the owner called you guys because you were the local reputable company, and then got in touch with me, and I actually came down to personally fix the project with you guys. And so we were able to, take what he did, and by when I say he did everything opposite, everything was upside down, everything wasn't waterproofed, everything was crazy, and we really followed through and got that project up and working, and it's still working to this date, thankfully. That his installation didn't do too much damage to anything that we couldn't fix.
I mean, honestly, I couldn't believe it. My brother's like, yeah, this guy's flying down. I'm like, to help with the repair? Like what? Like that flying down from where? Like that blew my mind. And what was cool is like the owner of that car wash was way cool. We had no idea what it was, whatever. We said, yeah, we can try. We called you. If we would have called you and you would have said, yeah, I don't know, it's FaceTime, whatever. And you're like, man, this is a problem. I mean, this isn't even installed right. We can't
Yeah,
warranty this, whatever. We would have told the guy the same thing. Like, dude, we can't touch this. I mean, we can give you a quote for something new or
yeah,
whatever. And then who knows what happens at that point, right? And I think that happens with a lot of manufacturing relationships, whatever. It's like that would have been so easy for you, especially because
yeah,
it's in another state. If it was 5 minutes down the street, I mean, that's different. But another state, for you to just pin it on the installer and be like, dude, that shit's not installed right.
yeah,
Like, how are we supposed to warranty that? And then end a conversation. But that's not what happened. And I'll always be forever grateful. That
yeah,
guy we ended up doing landscape lighting like at his personal house, and like
yep,
we ended up getting more work out of him, like 2 or 3 more projects.
yeah, yeah. No, and that's just kind of the stuff we've always prided ourselves on is because yeah, he broke every warranty rule and every product specification we had, and And it's like there's nothing really hindsight 2020. We probably should have gone down there in the first place and saw it through. But the only person that would end up getting the raw end of the deal there was the customer. And the customer didn't do anything wrong. He had faith and he had a cool idea that we wanted to help him fulfill. So we really just wanted to take care of him. And we still have done that recently. The hardest part of this business, as even landscape lighting installers will find out, it's all about your installers. It's all about the people. It's selling the part, and selling the product is somewhat the easy part. It's then fulfilling the order, making a happy customer so you can sell the next 10 even easier. That's the key to the game.
So how do you guys do that? I see you've got like dealer programs, you guys different things, but homeowners can buy it. Like, how do you control that so that you're not having to fly from state to state to try to bail people out and fix them and take care of them and qualify them more?
Yeah, part of it is simplifying the install down to where it is easy. Like that project, for example, we have on that project, we had a pretty inefficient system. We were running additional cabling inside our channel where the lights go, having to compensate for that voltage drop. So we were trying to compensate for that. And so as we started growing, we did experience that, and we were just spread so thin because it was just a tedious install. And so through, some good engineering and product planning, we've been able to make that light a lot easier. So now you still got to connect 3 wires, but those 3 wires have to be connected right. But once you get those 3 wires connected, you can go hundreds of feet with a single connection, single transformer. That's it. Zero questions asked. So really, through our do-it-yourself store, we still offer a great warranty, 5-year product warranty. Then you go through our dealer network, and we love taking on dealers because that's how we're going to be able to grow better with other people also growing. They get a 7-year warranty on the product. So if it's installed by an authorized person, we offer on-site training for all these guys. We can really help them to, one, reduce warranty calls, reduce troubleshooting, to really just make that product last for many, many years.
Yeah, very cool. Well, basically what I want to do is break down just generally the permanent lighting market, the products,
Yeah.
and then we'll kind of dive in deeper about specifically, your products and what those training options are and stuff like that. I guess first of all, let's just pretend that someone's never heard of it. Like,
Yeah.
what is permanent lighting? Who's it for? Tell us a little bit about it.
Yeah, easiest way to look at it is permanent holiday lights. That's the easiest way to explain it. Easiest way to sum it up is holiday lights go up on your house or business, commercial building one time, they stay up. Everybody tries to make them blend in the daytime. That's kind of the deal because you don't want it to look like Christmas lights up year round. From there, since it's permanent, we're able to get a little bit more fancy with the technology. Let's have it change colors. Let's have it dance. You could have it look like a casino. You could have it look like a nice, modest, warm white everywhere. So really, that's the goal, is to reduce the up and down of the temporary lighting, industry.
How do you respond to the holiday lighting people that make a living off of doing the up and down and going, well, wait a minute. Like I used to make $2,000 a year off this person, and now I'm going to
Yeah.
put something up permanent. Isn't this self-sabotage?
Yeah, no, and some of it is. Some of it is. It's tough because it does remove a big chunk of their, kind of reoccurring business. But the way I kind of always encourage that, because I have lots of resellers that do both, is all right, well, let's get the roof line out of the way, give the customer a product that they want, that they're going to use year round. And now that same customer is probably going to have some more income to do more trees, to do wrap their railing more, add more trees to their bushes and fence line and things like that, to still do the festive part. And just because it takes the bulk of the work, we're talking a few hundred linear feet of the roof line out of it, then you can focus on those finer, higher margin temporary lighting options.
I think that's a great response. And to be honest, like if let's say that all that didn't exist, which it does, and people just aren't thinking of like obvious things right in front of them.
Yeah.
But somebody is they're going to see an ad somewhere. They're going to see it at a home show. It is not a matter of if, but when, and they're going to have a level of interest in it. So if it's not you marketing it to them, it's going to be your competition. It's going to be someone else. So like you could just be so worried about it that you lose the opportunity altogether, you know?
Yeah, exactly. You can't, what's that saying? You can't put the toothpaste back in the tube. Somebody's out there trying to sell these, permanent Christmas light systems, and it might as well be you, especially if you're a setup, temporary guy with the customer database. Customers always like to sell to people they already have a history with. They're already more comfortable, forking over their checkbook.
Yeah. Talk about some of the growth that you've experienced over the last 9 years. I mean, I want personal income statements, tax returns, just, general percentages. I'm sure there's, some explosive growth happening. Can you identify some of those
Yeah.
trends?
Yeah, absolutely. No, yeah, and I'll send you those personal statements afterwards. So watch your email. But
Perfect.
yeah, so like I said, I've been here nearly 9 years. I would say probably the first 3 to 4 years they were a struggle. It was, we were fighting uphill, um, tooth and nail for everything we could do. We couldn't find the installers to install it. The demand from the customers was necessarily there, but the labor and the contractors to install it didn't really catch up yet. So, we kind of had to pivot and just make our own install team. So we were running 3 to 4 install crews all around the nation.
Mm.
And so we kind of had to fill that void. I would say it was about 2020, right around COVID when that started. It's somebody, turned on the spigot. When they turned that on, it was everybody wants it, everybody wants to install it, and here we go. And we're talking, 3, 4 years straight of, for us at least, over 100% growth year over year. So, we're trying to double our resellers nearly every year. And, it's just been trying to keep the train on the tracks from a supplier standpoint. But I know my installers are the same thing. It's everything they can do to supply it come that fourth quarter, because it's still largely driven by holiday lights. As much as we want to sell it as Valentine's lighting or St. Patrick's lighting, people still see it for the Christmas holiday season, and that's when they want it.
What percentage of sales are coming in that fourth quarter?
I'd probably say that fourth quarter does about 40 to 50% for us.
Dang.
So it's really still backloaded, and that's the biggest struggle for our, kind of installers. It's great for the cold weather, landscaping guys because they're shutting down. They can't be trenching when the ground's frozen. So we've provided this kind of big avenue in that fourth quarter, but being able to ramp up and do these sometimes intricate installs because we're climbing on a ladder doing, I won't say complex, but it's miter cuts. It takes some skill, some carpentry, and to ramp up and do that super, super fast, it's really tough.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because, this is something that didn't used to exist. And now inside of our coaching program, we're having people reach out and they only know permanent lighting. Like
Yeah.
you must have gotten a hold of them. Somebody did. And like, that's what they do. And they're like, yeah, I mean, we thought it was going to be able to, stay busy year round and that's all we were going to do. But we want to, offset it and add some landscape lighting,
Yeah.
add some event lighting, add some of these things. So, it's actually perfect. I think, if you market permanent lighting to someone, they're going to need landscape lighting. If you market landscape lighting to them, they're going to need permanent. I just think there's so many good commonalities there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And I mean, it continues to level out. I would say if you interviewed me probably 3, 4 years ago, it was probably 60, 70% in that fourth quarter. So it continues to get better. And I think it'll continue to level out more and more, but there's always going to be that big fourth quarter surge.
Like one of the things that drives me crazy about them is that people, at least in Utah, and I mean, dude, I'm from here, so I can talk trash on my own state. Uh, Everyone's so cheap here, right? And so they're like,
Yeah.
I don't need landscape lighting because I can just turn these on. And I'm like,
Yeah.
listen, these are for holidays. Turn them on for a week for Valentine's Day. I don't care. Like
Yeah.
you can have that whole week, but you don't get to use them outside that week,
Yeah.
And this is just me. Okay. This is my rant. Okay. Because they need to know that landscape lighting is way better for like every single night for security and for
Yeah.
accenting the home and doing all these other things and tree lighting. And they're just like, oh, box checked. I don't need any lighting ever in the rest of my life. Um,
Yeah.
but talk a little bit about some of those problems because I'm not the only one. And in fact, HOAs I've heard are starting to kind of restrict usage.
Yeah.
If not altogether, they're at least saying, hey, only during these times.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Because I mean, one of our main features is saying, no, use it year round, because
Yeah.
depending on kind of your product, it can be individually controllable. So you can only control the few lights right at the corners and things like that. And when it's tastefully done, it can provide a an adequate solution for some lighting around your house. Is it ever? But it's very different than landscape lighting too. Every landscape lighting guy I talk to too, they can't stand it because you see the light source. They see that
Exactly.
light source and they go, no, no, that's not allowed. You're supposed to see the shine, not the
It's like the
source.
first thing you learn. Yeah, see the
Yeah,
effect, not the source.
yeah.
I
And
suppose
with
it
us,
means all.
it's almost the opposite. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Which that's why I'm like, I think it's cool as hell for like 4th of July, for all the holidays, and Christmas. But it's just like, Chad, he lives behind me. Chad, like, why is it changing colors right now, Chad? It's like, what's the date? It's February 8th. Why? I don't understand why these lights are
Yeah.
flashing, Chad.
Yeah. No, and it's largely because they can. Think
Exactly.
they can, they're going to do it. And you're right. HOAs are probably pulling their hair out sometimes because all it takes is one guy. As I said, your house can look like a casino or it can look classy.
Yeah.
And so it's all depending on the owner whether what it looks like. So there are certain HOAs I've seen as many as saying you got to have a documented holiday and it can only run 3 days before, 3 days after, or they're just putting really strict, timelines on it. It's got to turn on at sundown and turn off by 10 p.m.
Mm,
And so all this kind of the regulation that's going to be coming on the back end is going to catch up to a lot of people just because too the government wants their money. They're going to want some permit money or something like that to get these low voltage lighting systems as they continue to expand. And so some more regulation is definitely coming in on the horizon.
What type of I don't know if this is still kind of general blanket stuff, but what types of licenses and requirements are you seeing out there?
It really varies by state. Electrical is a weird kind of industry and it varies very much by state. You get over into California, believe it or not, they probably have some of the most lax kind of electrical laws. I don't even think you need to be a licensed electrician to do some electrical work there with high voltage stuff. Depending, don't cite me on this, but I know when you get up into Oregon and Washington, they have some of the most strict rules, and they're talking about maybe having to pull permits and get inspections for every installation done. So I would say largely it's still largely unregulated. Most of the time you don't need a license, you don't need a permit, you don't need any of that. But as I said, I think that's probably going to change. There's going to be someday that there is, and I think this ties right into landscape lighting. I think there is going to be a low voltage certification, that some sort of license that you have to get to, try and fix some of these bad installers that are out there, cutting corners, just twisting wires together and leaving them out in the elements. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's low voltage and it's safer, but it can still spark up and, cause some problems if not done properly.
Yeah, I hear you. I mean, I've got clients in California, Washington, and Arizona. Those seem to be like the tightest ones.
Yeah.
In California, basically, it's a low voltage license. And the thing
Mhm.
is, low voltage is a very broad term because if someone's
So
dealing
broad.
with 240, then 120 is low voltage, right?
Yeah.
Uh,
Yeah.
but I think the NEC, I don't know, I'm not a code guy, but I think the NEC defines it as anything under 30 volts, which I think yours might be 30. How many voltage does yours use?
So we can run at a range. We can run 24 to 48 volt depending on that state. So we're ready for any more kind of regulation that comes our way.
Okay.
And yeah, the NEC is weird because it's up to 30 volts in normally wet conditions. So on the ground, buried, that's landscape lighting. Where it gets kind of a gray area, if you say normally wet is always outside, but it's underneath a roof's eave, underneath a rain gutter, theoretically there should never be any moisture or water that gets to that. So, and then I think that range goes up to 60 volts. So it is a rather kind of a gray area because it's like, so is it just outside needs to be under 30, or is it outside needs to be under 60 unless it's submerged on the ground, going to get rainfall directly. So it's definitely
Interesting.
a gray area.
Well, I think in Washington it rains upside down or something, so they
Yeah.
probably do. It probably does get wet there,
Yeah. Yeah.
but in
Absolutely.
normal places. So how do you said your range is, it has a range. Is there a reason why you would want to run it at 48 versus 24?
So it's all about, in my mind, is ease of install. So typically, higher voltage means you can run more lights. So which means less transformers, which means less outlets, less GFIs, less things to go wrong, in my opinion. So
Yep.
usually, again, broad scope, higher voltage means longer distances.
Okay, cool. So if there was no regulation, if you had the regulation and you were certified, that's probably going to be what you recommend. But there are ways to get around it. You're just going to have more transformers or controllers, as you call them, whatever it is, to do the 24 volt.
Yeah. So if states came out with some, strict regulations and capped it at 30 volts hard, we'd be able to adjust relatively quickly.
Cool.
Where 36 volt is kind of our bread and butter. We think that, in my opinion, that does justify all the electrical laws and regulations to this point. And so that's where I kind of think that's our kind of sweet spot, optimizes cost of materials and range to, accomplish most projects with a single outlet almost.
Do you guys or any other permanent manufacturers get your products UL or ETL tested?
So ours are UL and ULC. We don't have the ETL yet. That's something we have in the works. To my knowledge, there are a few other suppliers out there as well that do it. It's probably about 50-50 of the big names that you'll see. Some of them aren't doing it, some of them are. I think it's a good thing. I think anything that isn't UL rated is just a little risky and, not necessarily worth the roll of the dice to save a few bucks.
Right. Yeah, I'm with you. What are some common misconceptions? You get a lot of us new guys and we think we know about it, and then you get it and you're like, oh no, these people always have these same questions. Are there some common
Yeah.
misconceptions about
Yeah.
permanent?
No, I mean, really, the biggest thing is they don't think it will, one, look as good as it does in the daytime. Because you're holding it up close, you go,
Okay.
oh, this is going to be too big. We're going to see the bumps. We're going to see the channel. It'll be something like that. When in actuality, you get it on your house, even 10, 15 feet up in the air, it largely blends in really well. I would say that's kind of the biggest one. And then really all as many times as I've done it and I've showed them, they don't fully get it. It is broad RGB spectrum. So you really can do just about any color that you can imagine. And there's nothing like when you fire up your demo board and actually show them those lights change and everything, and then the kind of the light bulbs go off.
That's cool. Pun intended.
Right.
So, what's the hardest thing that people experience when they're getting started?
Installing it. It's a different animal. It's a lot different than temporary Christmas lights, just walking on the roof, clipping them on the gutter. Way different than that.
Right.
Like I said, it's basic carpentry, basic electrical, because you're cutting and splicing and doing that. As far as, more geared landscape lighting, it's different because you got to climb a ladder. You can't do it from the roof. You're not doing it on the ground. You may have your best guy. He may be your best worker, your fastest installer. You get him on a ladder and he's terrified. And so that's the hardest thing. It's people. It's your installers, it's your crafts guys that, can put this stuff up.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's actually a super good thing to bring up, because I've got clients, like, we always did Christmas lights and we're on the roof, the ladders, it was no big deal. But then there's some that, like, they've never, like, it's a bucket truck, you
Yeah.
know, and it's
Yeah.
like, yeah, but what if you can't get the bucket truck to this area of the house?
Yeah.
That could definitely be a problem.
Absolutely. Yeah. Cause I mean, temporary Christmas light guys, they may have a ladder, but then they're on the roof walking around. And
Hmm.
so our stuff usually, because you're either under the eave or on the fascia, it's hard to do it from the roof. So usually you're doing the work from the ladder. And so it's kind of a change of pace. It's, oh yeah, we have one ladder, but now I got a crew of three guys. I need three ladders. I need now that, 40-foot extension ladder to reach that walkout 2-story house on their backside. And so it's definitely a change of pace. You need some different equipment. You need tool belts. You can't, just carry around your bucket buddy and walk around on the ground. You're climbing a ladder and you want that belt with all your tools and supplies with you so you don't have to go up and down and up and down.
Cool. Yeah, actually, my neighbor got permanent lighting installed, I don't know, maybe 6 months ago or something like that. Not Chad. Chad, I mean,
Okay.
come on, Chad. But this is across the street, and it was cool, man. This crew was good. Sometimes
Yeah.
you see crews and you're like, how do you make money? It
Yeah.
doesn't take this long, even if you've never done it. Is this your first time? Well, this crew was dope, man. They got out of their van, whatever. They got some stuff set up, assembled, 3 ladders that get leaned up to the house, and I mean, they were just rolling.
Yeah.
How
Yeah.
long does it, an average home? I know these are just very general numbers because there's slow people out there and
Oh
there's
yeah.
fast people. What's an average home take to complete?
Yeah, my kind of general rule of thumb is one guy, once he's fully trained and up and running, no problem should be doing 100 to 150 linear feet in a 6 to 7 hour day. There's no reason, unless it is extremely high, you're fighting trees, you're fighting shrubs, something like that. But so, that's kind of my general rule of thumb. If it's under 150 linear feet in a day, then one guy should be able to accomplish it.
And would he do that on his own, or is it best to have a 2 or 3 man crew?
It's always best, I think, to have a two-guy crew, just because, again, you're dealing up high. The bad things can happen on ladders; it can slide out. So it's always best case scenario to have a second guy there, just in case something bad happens. And it also helps, like I said, that up and down ladder time that can add up on you. So if you have an extra set of hands on the ground that can toss you something every now and then, it really helps out.
And any reason to have a crew of 3?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, once you kind of expand to have a three-guy crew, you can have one guy essentially, two guys on the roof on the ladder, putting the lights up themselves, the third guy on the ground handing them the material and doing all the cuts that they need. And so then it maximizes those guys installers, it maximizes the guy on the ground because he's cutting, cleaning. Once he gets them, at a good stopping point, he can go and hang the control box and the transformer, get that set up with the customer while the guys finish, the rest of the house. And then boom, once you finish, it's on to the next one.
Yeah, very cool. I think that sounds smooth. You mentioned like now we're into carpentry and electrical. There's it's a different beast. What types of tools are people using on the daily?
Yeah, so it's definitely basic electrical tools. You got strippers, crimpers, pliers, things like that. At Oelo, we recommend heat shrink butt connectors. That's what we supply with all our lighting kits. So you'll also need a heat gun or a little torch, and to waterproof all those connections. And as far as the cutting of the channel, any chop saw, skill saw will do. A grinder, 10 snips to, whether you're cutting a metal channel or a plastic channel, kind of affects that. But just a basic saw, to cut thin metal is really all you need for the cuts.
Cool. And who's buying this stuff? Who are the homeowners? Or I guess who is the ideal client? Is it someone that's in a um, smaller house? Is it a larger house? Is it commercial? Like who's the prime client?
Yeah, I think you'll see a lot of kind of all different types of customers. We've done super high-end luxury houses, 10 plus thousand square feet, down to just the regular cookie cutter house at 2,000 square feet, so you kind of get it all. Because it's a per foot price, it relatively kind of, slots it to who can afford it. If your house is only 50 feet wide, well, your cost is going to be a lot less. Where if you're in this giant, custom home that's 800 linear feet wrap, yeah, it's going to be a lot higher priced. But I would say it's got to be somebody with some expendable income. So typically, probably skewing more towards luxury homes, in my opinion.
Yeah. Okay. And one thing I forgot to ask about is really on the installation side, when you're jumping from, gutter to peak or going from like first story to second story, how often do you need to get inside the attic to hide the wires?
So that it obviously depends on the house. A lot of the time, attic access isn't really possible. Attic access is great. It obviously allows you to hide the wires a heck of a lot better and make it a cleaner install, which is the end goal. But a lot of houses, it's just not possible. It may be a fake dormer that doesn't actually even have any attic access. So you kind of take it as you go. And if you can get in the attic, I usually recommend it. But then you open yourself up for some other things that, your guy can now step through the insulation through the drywall. So it opens you up to a little bit more liability once you get into the attic, but it definitely makes for a cleaner install once you do it.
Yeah, because I think that is a concern. I used to think when I got my start was with my brother Justin, and
Yeah.
we were like going to blow up the window cleaning, and then we started thinking, man, this is cool that we did lighting because some of these guys I trust
Yeah.
enough, but like, do I trust them being in someone's master bedroom where there's like a $40,000 Rolex sitting there or
Right.
lots of cash? I mean, some of the stuff you see, right? And so, is it possible to never go in an attic?
Yeah, yeah, no, it's definitely possible. I mean, every component we sell, and I would probably say most of our competitors as well sell, is rated to live outside. Again, we're kind of making our living doing retrofits. It would be great to only do new construction that we could hide everything inside, but that's just not really feasible. And so, yeah, if it's a exposed dormer, the wire's all rated to live outside, UL or UV stable. And so it can be ran right on the roof into the gutter and everything like that to get to those points.
Okay. Yeah, that's way cool. I was thinking about that and talking with some clients about that, and I thought, yeah, I don't know that I don't know that I would want to go inside. Try to hide it as much as I could on the outside.
Yeah, it has its pros and cons, as with
Yeah.
everything. It if done right, yeah, it's probably a better way. But it's also a lot more difficult in the summertime. It's brutal to be up in those attic. Ask any HVAC guy you've ever talked to. It's brutal in the summer months.
All right. So how do we get leads? What's the best way to market this?
Oh, well, if I knew that, I wouldn't be on here, if it was that easy. But it's really because it's such a new thing. It's a little bit of a gamble, just with everything. We've had good success with trade shows, home and garden shows,
Yep.
because it's a new product. You may find a customer that doesn't even know it exists, and then it may take a year or so, but that customer's going to come around because he's going to circle that kind of on his map of what to save up for. I really like doing the high-end home magazines. So, that only go to a home of a certain value. I think those pan out really well, because it's kind of going into people that should have some disposable income to, spend on a luxury product. And then, there's always, I would say social media marketing gets you a lot of leads, but it also gets you a lot of junk leads. It gets you a lot of leads that have no business, buying an expensive lighting system. But in large, there's no better, marketing ploy or, you know, way to sell something than a customer reference. So if you knock it out of the park with one customer, he's going to tell his brother, his friend, his neighbor, and those are by far the easiest sells. So I always recommend at any install, always put that yard sign up for those looky-loo neighbors that are saying, "Hey, what are Jim and Susan doing over there?" And then you may get into that little competition between neighbors of adding lighting and everything.
Yeah. I mean, it's an exciting product. Even if whether you like it or not, like it's already taking off, right? And so
Yeah.
it's like the holiday lighting, the temporary, where that happens. Like people are like, yeah, I got your number from so and so. How much did they spend? And it's like 10 grand.
Yeah.
Okay, well, let's do 15. Like they
Exactly.
want to win. And this is
Yeah.
that product that I feel like is actually one of the easier ones to get leads. Uh,
Yeah.
Landscape lighting is a little bit harder to get leads because it's even though it's been around longer, the market is less educated on it. This is like in your face. It changes colors. It's sexy to the homeowner, and just the thought of them not sending up their son or their husband, their wife, whoever to go do the holiday lighting, just the safety factor. They're like, heck yeah, let's do this. And people don't like the fact that they have to keep spending that, couple $1,000s a year. It solves a lot of problems. So I think the leads for this are going to be probably one of the easier thing. Just the important is to be out there and be promoting it.
Yeah, no, exactly. I mean, people like it. People like it, so they see it and they're intrigued because it's really cool. So it definitely you get a lot of customers that are sticker shocked. So we usually try and push people to pre-qualify. You know, hit the customer with hey, this is going to be a ballpark price of here to here, just so you're not wasting your time driving all around town giving quotes to people that thought it would cost $300 and now it's costing $3,000. Something like that. And so you really got to be careful of that, but it's definitely taken off and people really want it.
All right. So, what are some things that people should consider as they're looking to partner with a permanent lighting brand? You guys have a comparison chart on your website. We put one together just in case you guys were lying about the stuff that you found out about the other people. Um, and I actually didn't compare our comparison to your comparison, but we wanted to just get our own source or whatever. But
Yeah.
is it, I remember hearing at one point, oh, I don't like those ones because they face out, or I don't like those ones because they face down, or I don't like their track, or I don't like the voltage, or it's we talked about being UL or distance from the controller or how many controllers. Maybe just talk about like what really matters and what you think people should look for.
Yeah, and there's a couple different ways you can look at it. You can look at it as, how is their supply doing? Are they putting you out 2 or 3 weeks to get material, or is it 2 or 3 days? How are they fulfilling those orders? Are they constantly screwing up your packing lists? Things like that are things to watch for, because that's really just going to foster a good, long lasting relationship. And then as far as kind of mounting style and track, that's a big one, and that's where you're going to kind of see a difference between a lot of suppliers is, oh, this guy's using aluminum channel or a metal channel or a steel channel or a plastic channel. And how are they mounting it? So, no house is the same, no structure is the same. From a house in Utah to a house in Colorado to a house in Florida to New York, every house is built a little bit different. And so you got to have the right mounting solution for those types of structures. And because the right mounting, material may not work in Arizona that works in Colorado. So really, you got to kind of do your homework and see what type of offerings they have too, because it varies then different when you go to commercial structures. There's a channel that's better suited for lean up, tilt up concrete parapet walls that you can mount a lot easier to. And then it's all about what type of customers are you looking for? Are you looking to only do large scale custom homes, 300 plus feet? Then you're going to want to look at, okay, how do these people do large projects? Because the thing about RGB lighting, when you're really looking at low voltage, it's easy to do small runs. It's easy to do 1 to 50 feet. It's hard to do 200 to 500 feet. And so that's really, the type of project you're going to do is going to really specify the type of supplier you want. Because a lot of suppliers out there are maybe going to require a outlet every 50 feet or every 100 feet. And when they say they can run, 100 feet uninterrupted, well, most of the time they're probably going to have an outlet at the start and an outlet at the end. So you're going to have two transformers shooting power back to each other. And so that really affects the type of structure you can target.
Cool, man. All right. So thanks for everything, by the way. Have a good day. We'll see you later. No,
Yeah, see it.
that was awesome, by the way. Thanks for like breaking it down. I feel like we covered a lot about like the industry and the products. And now I kind of want to just dive into Oelo a little bit. I'm
Yeah.
sure you're like, heck yeah, let's do it. Because give you a chance to kind of promote yourself a little bit. But let's talk specifically about your brand now and kind of how it works. You've mentioned a dealer thing, you've mentioned a demo board, kind of want to understand the cost, the training options. So I guess first and foremost, what's the number one reason people should choose Oelo?
Yeah, so the number one reason, in my opinion, is really just that quality. The quality stamp of being kind of that luxury brand that is going to last longer than longer than even the warranty says it's going to last. It's going to smash that by 2 to 3 times. Our number one enemy is service calls and warranty claims. I hate warranty claims. I never want to have to go back to a job twice to fix something. That's lost money. That's pain in the butt for the customer. Never want to do that. So I can't stress enough that everything we do is that quality, focused. And even if it is going to cost a little bit more, and I think, if anybody's done their homework, they're probably going to see we're a little bit higher price than probably anybody out there. But there's a reason for that. And, we're going to use higher quality materials, a thicker channel when it comes to our metal channel, a thicker plastic when it comes to our plastic and acrylic channel. So we really push those things and just that longevity, something that can stand up to the UV. The sun is always trying to destroy everything. It's going to degrade wires and rubber and everything. So really just having that in mind, and building that to last. And I hope I kind of felt before this, I it's hard for me to turn off that brain and be like, all right, don't push Oelo so much. So I hope I wasn't doing that, because
No,
largely the reason I have that comparison chart on our website is, whether it's Oelo supplying it or somebody else supplying it, it's going to help the permanent lighting industry as a whole, one way or another. We got to grow this industry, and we kind of need every company pushing to grow this and get it a lot more mainstream.
absolutely. And as long as it's like healthy competition and people
Yeah.
are trying to do it right, if everyone comes in, it's a bunch of junky product, then it's just going to create a bad name for the industry. And that's when it fizzles out. So,
And that's definitely coming. The junky cheap products are coming. Some of them are already here. It is I would say kind of following a lot what I've seen in landscape lighting, where you got some really good stuff, you got really high end stuff, but then again, you can go to Home Depot and Walmart and buy landscape lighting,
And I see it
and
too with the permanent now. Yeah.
yeah, and you can do
Yeah.
that. And it's like, so you scratch your head and you're like, wait a minute, that's, 300, 400% less than what I'm looking at right here. Why is that? Well, there is a reason for that. And a lot of those things are, going to catch up to a lot of these other companies that are cutting corners with, less quality materials, whether it's not UL rated, or IP rated. We stress we have an IP68 rating. So it can be submerged up to 10 meters of water. And you say, why would you need that? You're going on a house. If this thing is submerged, my lighting is the last of my concerns. And it's like, that's just one of the things we do. When we do boat docks, we do a lot of boat dock lighting. We want it to be able to be fully submerged underwater, under ice, and still run and, not even bat an eye.
Cool. So if someone's wanting to get started, and by the way, guys, in a minute, we're just gonna tease for now. But actually, Devin was nice enough. He's offering a discount to all Lighting for Profits listeners.
Yeah.
But before we get to that, what if someone's getting started? Like, kind of let's walk through like options. They could just buy some product. They could sign up for your dealer program. There's different levels there. Kind of talk to us about those.
Yeah, so we offer a lot of different ways to get your hands on our product. As we kind of mentioned previously, we do have a retail do-it-yourself store. So we still do sell direct to the homeowner. Now, I'll tell you, we don't sell a lot that way because nobody wants to climb that ladder. So one of our better kind of ways to get in and have your hands on our material is we have all these different dealer tiers. Our first one is going to be called contractor. We'll let anybody in on that contractor tier. You're going to get a 10% discount on materials. And, that's a good way to try us out, to really try that out and do that. From there, we do have a sign up fee. And really, that sign up fee is really just going to cover a lot of the freebies that you're going to get. We love to send a personal installer rep from us in Colorado to you anywhere in the States. So if you're in Florida, you're in Nashville,
Oh, wow.
we'll put a guy on a plane to you. And so that sign up fee is $5,000. And that's what you start getting some bigger discounts on the product as well. We're talking 20%, 30%, and, right around there. So with that, then you're going to make some margin on the product. But the real money to be made here is on the labor. Installing the product is where you can make good money, and once you get efficient, it'll be really great. But we're here to support. We have a full in-house marketing team, so we can handle anything from your website to your truck wraps to your direct mailers to magazine ads. We can help you design all those, and so we're really here to help you market and help you get all those sales and leads.
That's super cool. Yeah, I didn't realize you'll send someone out when they join as a dealer.
Yeah. We're all about that kind of in your face. And that, yeah, I mean, you kind of saw that firsthand when I came down to fix that car wash with you. We're not going to leave you high and dry. We're not going to just keep telling you, well, keep trying this, keep trying this. Eventually, as I said, we're in it to make the customers happy. And if that means, we got to put a guy on a plane to fix the situation or get you fully trained, that's what we want to do.
Very cool. So you mentioned the demo board. How does someone use that? And is that the best way to sell it to a homeowner?
Yeah, and I think you've mentioned, I think I've watched some of your stuff, the power of nighttime demos, having that powerful demo kit. And that's essentially what our sales board demo board is. It's a mobile display. You can plug in, fire it up, show them how those lights work. Show them you can do red, white, and blue. Yeah, they can dance. Yeah, they can chase each other. It also has an output. You can connect, a strand of lights to it, run a wire, and do a temporary installation on their house. Hang 5-10 feet on their house so that they can kind of, vision what it's going to look like. Because the same struggles as landscape lighting, people struggle to know how good it's going to look once it's actually up. So if you can show them, and it may take, an extra time out to go and put up a piece and then go and take it down. But a lot of the time, if you're to that point where you're doing a nighttime demo, that's all it needs to get right over the edge.
Yeah, I love it. It sounds easier to, I mean, landscape lighting, there's demo kits that are really fast, but you could just even take that into their house and, flip it open and show them there without having to do that. People just like that experience. In landscape lighting, a lot of times I hear people say, we don't sell fixtures. And I'm like, that's fine. I sell designs too, but they're going to be wondering why you didn't show them a fixture, because I did show them a fixture. So
Yeah.
what was yours, plastic? Was yours invisible? Like, you know, we can create some doubt there, which that's fine. You know, I'm not a fixture salesman until I'm a fixture salesman, right?
Yeah. Well, yeah, you got to tell them why you're using a brass fixture over the guy that's just using a plastic one that's exposed. You know, you got to tell them why.
That's cool. So, I think that's all, man. Is there anything else you want to share about Oelo?
You know, I don't think so. The biggest thing I just want to stress is the type of project you're doing, you know, matters. If you're doing 25-foot runs, that's great. Those are easy. If you're trying to do hundreds and hundreds of feet, that's kind of where the products will really separate themselves. And, you know, as I said, one less piece of hardware, one less outlet, that goes a long way in the run.
Yeah, no, big time. So what is the length that you guys can go before you have to add another controller?
Yeah, so a little loaded. So our controller can run up to 1,000 lights in series, which is 800. And now we have 6 outputs on our controller. So theoretically, you can run 6,000 lights from our controller. And so that's about 800 feet times 6. Don't make me do math here. I should have had that written down. But
300.
really, and then yeah, and then on the power side, so we can go 250 feet or 300 lights in series, 0 voltage drop. So most fronts of every house you're going to run across are going to fall under that 250-foot mark, which
Yeah.
means all you need is a single outlet to do the front of the house, which is probably going to be most of the projects you're doing.
Yep.
So that makes it a lot easier to sell too if you're not having to add more outlets or run long extension cords, which is my nemesis. I hate extension cords. And so, you know, it makes the installs on these projects a lot easier.
Okay, cool. So let's say you get the same, you know, the same project, and then they want all 4 sides. Is that usually 4 controllers, or does it matter like where you start and stop and all that?
So it most likely it'd still just be one controller, but you may have 2 transformers.
Okay.
So you can add transformers downstream that just supply power to the lights, even though there's one kind of brain unit still telling the lights what to do. So most of the time, if it's a full wrap situation, then we get some advantages because one outlet we can backfeed power, and so we can feed power upstream and downstream. So we can have 2 transformers in the same spot, one starting at the last light, one starting at the first light. And so now we could go 500 feet all from one outlet.
Interesting. That's way cool. So you got your controller and both transformers right there with the one power source.
Yep, exactly. It'll be one plug, one box, and yeah, you could run up to 500 linear feet.
Love that. That's cool. There you go, guys. So, man, that was awesome. I mean, we got
Yeah.
just a ton of value right there. I told you, I'm like, I just have a ton of questions for you, really, and we're just going to record the conversation because I just learned a lot and about the industry, about Oelo. You guys are offering 10% off Oelo lighting items and lighting kits, and the promo code is lighting for profits, and the S is a $sign. So I'm assuming I haven't been on there to like try this out yet, but there's a place with like to buy now and you can put in a promo code.
Yep. Yeah, you would just add, say it's a 25-foot lighting kit, and the how we sell too. You can buy individual components, but we like to sell through kits so that you get, you know, all the lights you need, all the channel you need, all the screws, all the zip ties, everything you need to do that job. We sell. You know, it's one big package, so you don't have to hold any inventory or do anything like that. So if you add that 25-foot kit to your cart and then at checkout, you'll just enter the coupon code and it'll take care of it.
Cool. So if someone wants to test them out, see if it's a good fit, it's a great way to do it. You're not committing to a dealer program. You're going all in. It's just like, hey, let's try this out. And he's also saving you 10%. It's lighting for profits, and the S is a $sign. This is how we pre-qualify people. If they can't figure out how to do the S as a $sign, then they don't deserve the discount.
Yeah, I don't want to. Yep, I don't want to try and teach them how to wire. You know, if they're not going to follow that.
Yeah, actually, this is genius. This is just genius on so many levels. So, okay, well, man, thanks a ton. I really appreciate you jumping on here, and look forward to doing something. I'm trying to talk my wife into like getting like 4 different manufacturers on our house.
Yeah, no, you should, and then test them all out, and really compare those comparison charts because. And I know you were like, yeah, I'm going around building them. The toughest part of our comparison chart is actually finding that info from some, you know, of the other manufacturers. It's hard to find some of that info. It's not real easy.
No, we had Darcy like calling everyone and like then there was all these fields that they didn't answer. I'm like, well, call them back. And she's like, no, they said this. And I'm like, oh man, I don't know. So sometimes the field just has like a question mark.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. That's not a good sign.
Not a good sign. No. And there's one I don't even think that made the list. I mean, we had them on the list, but then like they were so hard to get a hold of. We're like, we'll just take them off.
Yeah, yeah, and that's a big thing too. And I mean, we didn't get into it, and I don't want to go down the rabbit hole, but customer support, we all like to say, "Oh no, you're never going to have a problem. Everything's going to work and everything's going to be good." But what happens when something doesn't work? And what happens when your guy did wire it backwards or something? Is there a person on the phone you can get to talk you through it? And we do have a full-time troubleshooting guy always sitting there waiting for the phone.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, like I said, man, I really appreciate coming on here, but I really appreciate you meeting you years ago and
Yeah.
helping us out. I mean, if you didn't, our lives were going to be fine. It wasn't our customer, but you went above and beyond. It helped us even get other deals. That's the other thing, guys, is like this will help you get more business that's not even related to this directly. And that level of customer service was, I mean, talk about above and beyond. That was over delivering at its
Yeah.
finest. So that goes a long way in my book. Customer service trumps everything at that point. So really
Yeah.
appreciate you, man.
Yeah, no, thank you, and thank you for having me on. And if anybody has any questions, feel free to pass my info on to them, and I'll help them out.
Oh yeah. So what's the best way to get in touch with you? You got the website Oelo,
Yeah.
OELO.com. Anything else?
I mean, you can definitely give out my email address. It's devinr at oelo, DEVINR at OELO.com. Email me direct. You can also call the main line and say, put Devin on the phone now, and I'll get right there.
That's awesome. All right. Keep track of all the people that are going to flood into you. I only want
Yeah.
like 5% of all transactions. It's not a big deal.
All right.
We'll make sure this is all tracked, you guys. No, but thanks again. I mean, this has been really good. This is the industry you're in is on the verge of blowing up.
Yeah.
It's going to be an insane next 5 to 10 years. It's going to be awesome.
Yeah. Yeah. It's going to be awesome. And yeah, I'm along for the ride for it, and hopefully everybody else is too.
Cool, man. Well, thanks again for coming on here. Have a great day. Okay.
Yeah. Thank you. You too.
All right. See you, man.
See ya.
Oh, I was supposed to play this music. I got to come out with outro music.
Yeah.
All right, man. Take it easy.
Sorting it out. See ya.
Later. All right, guys. Wow. That was way good. I think it went better than I was even expecting. Devin's a great guy. That's a true story about the car wash and him flying down there and helping us out, stuff like that. And that customer service goes a long way in my book. So if you guys need more information, or you want to get that deal, it's on oelo.com, OELO.com, 10% off everything, all the lighting kits and everything. Lighting for Profits, S is a $. Lighting for Profits is the promo code. So as we wrap up here, I guess what I want to do is just talk about where this fits into your business. And it's really something that some people are like, I'm never going to do it. I hate it. It's ugly. And that's fine, if that's what you want to do. But then you might want to partner with someone, because there's going to be demand. And anytime there's demand, there's traffic. And anytime you're trying to grow a business, you want to find the traffic and step in front of it, right? And this is going to create a lot of traffic for the lighting industry. So even if you don't want to do it, that's fine. Find someone in your area that you can partner with and refer to them, because then they can market landscape lighting and refer you business, right? And it's a huge opportunity that's about to happen for everyone. And in my opinion, the perfect lighting company, if I could draw on paper the perfect lighting company, it's going to be landscape lighting, number one. Then you're going to have holiday lighting. You're going to have the permanent lighting, a little bit of event, and outdoor audio. I mean, those are kind of like the 5 pillars of a lighting, let's call it lighting and audio company. And I put audio on there because it's an easy upsell. I don't know that I have the model down to just market only outdoor audio, but when someone already likes you, and then they have demo audio kits, by the way, you guys, you could play that demo audio kit while you're doing installs. It's going to sell itself, right? So the permanent, they have the demo kit, like use the resources. They have a team, he said, like Devin said, they'll fly a guy out there to help train you on your first install. That's freaking awesome. So start with your own house, start with your own building, start with your family, friends, somebody, so you can get the experience and gain confidence. But in my opinion, you really need all four. Sometimes I go to Christmas light conferences and I speak and I tell them, like, you guys, Christmas lights suck. Because it's so stressful for such a short period of time. And landscape lighting you have all year, right? And I don't really mean to talk trash on the holiday lighting industry, because quite frankly, you need it, right? You need all of them. And if you have holiday lighting clients, you can upsell landscape lighting, permanent, and outdoor audio. If you have a landscape lighting customer, you can upsell holiday lighting and permanent. So they all work together. And that's the beauty of building a business and having multiple streams of income. Now, it can get a little blurry and confusing if you're trying to offer too many things at all the time. Like if you get a lead for permanent and then all of a sudden you're like, hey, we also do all these things. And then now it goes from like a $10,000 ticket to a $100,000 ticket. You might be thinking, cool, I'm upselling, 10X, but let them make the purchase they initially want and then upsell them, right? You don't want to confuse them. You don't want to overwhelm them. So there are those premium buyers where those experiences can happen. But for the most part, you need to deliver what you're trying to do and let them know, you can let them know you offer these other things, but really keep it focused and just sell them that one thing. Because I think I see a lot of people doing that where they're like, yeah, it was cool. They called me for holiday lighting. They wanted landscape lighting and all this stuff. And then they don't get the deal and someone else is doing just the holiday lighting. So make sure you guys grow accordingly. And yes, multiple streams of income are awesome, but you got to manage it the correct way. And the other thing I'll say on that is if you don't have your systems and your process for selling and installing landscape lighting dialed in, it may not make sense to jump into this new category. Make sure you've got those things streamlined. You've got an actual system in place, and then it's easier to take on a new line and a new line and a new line, right? When you try to do all things at once, it becomes very chaotic and very troublesome. So, all right, guys, I think that's all I got for you. Let me know what you think of the new format. It's less talking from me and more interviewing for our guests. That's really what it comes down to. So appreciate everybody. I hope you have an awesome week. Don't forget to keep moving forward. And let me know if you're going to do permanent lighting or if you're going to partner with someone. Have a good week, y'all.